Fall in love with 252 exclusive offers on the Citroën range at Hugo Luna Motors today. Explore our impressive collection of Citroën cars and vans, where advanced comfort, style, safety and reliability all come together. Order your 252 today and take advantage of low-rate finance, a €500 deposit contribution and avail of a free home charger. Book your test drive today at hugolunamotors.ie. Citroën. For everyone, like no one.
Citroën. Encore with Claire O'Brien. Arts and entertainment for the Midlands. With Padder's Bar in Moat, Gertie Brown's Bar and Bistro Athlone, and the Cellar Bistro Strand Street Athlone.
I suppose it's quite a number of years ago now, around the recession. And I'd been made redundant, so I was looking for something to do because I don't like sitting down for too long. And there was an interior design course here in Waterford that I joined. And it turns out that I enjoyed it far more than I ever expected to. So I ended up doing 2 years of interior design, realised then that this is kind of an area I wanted to go into, and went back to college then and got a degree in visual art.
Wow.
During all this, I came up with the idea. Well, I thought I came up with the idea. There was people doing it already. But I really wanted to use furniture as a canvas. I suppose the thing was, I didn't realise it, but all my life I had been kind of trying to reuse something as something else. Not maybe realising it was upcycling. So that's kind of where my mind went with it. I wanted to use furniture as my canvas.
And what would your background have been in before then?
Before that, I had mainly worked with internet companies. I worked with an estate agent. So I mean, it wouldn't really... No, I mean, I'd always had a love for art anyway in school, but I definitely hadn't gone down that road after school.
It's that fine line as well that there's two kind of sides to this. You can either revamp a piece of furniture to give it a new lease of life and use it for what it always would have been, or you can repurpose it and use it for something completely different.
That's it, absolutely. And the one thing I kind of always point towards when I'm talking about repurposing is, like, years ago, again, I had a bookshelf, just a small one, something like the old Super Value ones. And, of course, you know yourself, Kindles come out, books aren't used as much. But I hated the thought of turning it out. And I realised it made a great display unit for all my high heels.
Right.
At the time, of course, I do not wear anything like that anymore now. But it really worked as a great display unit for high heels. So, you know, that was a really good idea of very simple repurposing back then.
And talk us through some of the items then that you would, as you say, revamp or repurpose. Looking at your website and the work that you've done, there's a real stamp of your signature look to it. There's a lot of vibrant colours, there's a lot of patterns, so you really do have a style.
Yeah, and the funny thing you say, because I always thought I didn't really have a style, you know, that I would, you know, do anything. But I suppose, you know, you can kind of separate it as well. You know, there's a kind of difference between a lot of the work I would have done, we'll say, and then sold on towards what I would have got in, you know, from commissions. Because a lot of people who want commissions, they just have really good solid furniture. It may be that it's just too dark, you know, and they want it brightened, they wanted it painted, you know, an on-trend grey, you know. But then when I was let loose with stuff, you know, either a commission or for sale, I always wanted to go as bright and as, I suppose, bespoke as possible. I always wanted to try different things, you know. So, yeah, I mean, I suppose, yeah, you would call it, I suppose, really you would look at it as a kind of an ongoing theme, even though I didn't feel it at the time.
And what would the typical items be that people would come to you? Would it typically be, we'll say, the likes of dressers or wardrobes? What would your typical upsells be?
It really does vary. I suppose if I was to, it'd be nearly easier to say like what they don't come to me with, and that would be wardrobes, you know, because more and more houses have, you know, integrated ones now. But I would get a lot of, we'll say, kitchen tables and chairs and things like that. And they'd be kind of more, you know, the kind of being used in the same way as always, just, you know, a kind of an update. Coffee tables, you know, simple things like that. But then people are more, inclined to go vibrant then if they're kind of using sideboards or display cabinets, because they're more kind of little focal points. So I mean, nothing is off the table really. What people will ask to have upcycled.
Are there any items in your mind that stand out straight away as when they came into you said that is unusual?
Oh, God, jeez. I mean, there's so many. That's the thing, people, that's like asking me what my favourite colour is. It changes every single week. I suppose the ones I've always loved are the ones that I really got full choices on, where no one else was involved. So I suppose a lot of them would be mainly pieces maybe I sold, or mainly pieces that would have come to me as a commission where they said, just do whatever you want. And I love those ones because they're truly the pieces that people are saying, I really like what you did, you know.
You free rein with the design.
Yeah. And I think you get the most satisfaction out of those. It's really hard to pinpoint one, because I think anyone I've ever, been able to go at without anyone else interfering, I've always felt a really great sense of satisfaction from those type of pieces. But yeah, that's really, really hard to answer that question.
Let's go on to, you have a workshop coming up this weekend. It's going to be taking place in Portlaoise Library, and you're going to be, for a better word, passing on your knowledge and techniques. So talk us through, for anybody who might be interested in coming along to the workshop, what it'll entail.
So it's a demonstration, so as many people can come as they like. There's no limit on numbers. What'll happen is I'll have a little small locker, so just a bedside locker with 3 drawers. And I'll go through from start to finish on how to upcycle that drawers. It'll start with the preparation of how to get your surface ready. It'll go on to the different materials used, then go into painting. And then I'll use some techniques as well. So I'll use some decoupage with wallpaper and tissue. I'll use some stencils. And then we'll have other small little tips and tricks put in there as well. And then obviously people can ask as many questions as they want throughout the demonstration. In fact, I invite people to ask while I'm working, so that they won't forget at the end to ask the questions. So it's informal, but it's informative. And people always seem to really enjoy it. And they'll go home with information that they can start little pieces on their own. And of course, I'll give them my contact details, so they can always contact me if they do need any help going forward.
From experience of when I've had tried to try my hand at upcycling, I can namely think of furniture. I think they're a hard one, that you've the greatest of intentions, and often you'll have a vision in your head of the end product, but it's how to get there. And sometimes it's as simple as knowing, like that, if it is an item of furniture and it has some existing coating on it, you need to remove that in order to add a certain paint. You're going, what paint is it I need? So it's great to have someone then there with your level of expertise to steer someone in the right direction when they know what they want to do, but they just don't maybe know how to start at it.
That's it, exactly. And I mean, there are thousands of different materials, brands, everything out there. How to pick them, So realistically, I keep it very simple. Everything I use in upcycling can be got from any local hardware store. You don't have to order it in specially. You'll pick it up in any hardware store. Any of the paints I use, again, accessible anywhere. They're not special paints. They're paints that have been around for decades. And I'm very, passionate about the fact that upcycling has to also be budget friendly. Otherwise, why will people choose it? And it has to be easily accessible for people. People don't want to have to travel to get materials. They don't want to have to be ordering them online and waiting for them. So I keep it very, very simple, very easy to follow. And as I said, any of the information I give them, they will be able to get it in any local hardware store to them.
That's great, because as you said, I think I don't know, some people maybe that is their motivation. They're going, well, I can't really afford to get a new one, so I'll try and doctor it up myself. I know for me, anytime I've tried my hand at it, it's been, I've seen a piece, maybe like that in a second-hand or a charity shop, and I have a vision for it. I go, I can picture it some way different, and I'll try to do it myself. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But you have this great sense of pride that you made this. And even if you see something down the town years later and you're going, that would actually probably be better, you go, no, but I made that. I don't want to part with it.
Yeah, absolutely. That, you know, that's it in a nutshell. You really do feel that sense of satisfaction after doing the work yourself. You know, maybe realising for the first time how creative you are, you know, how well you can do this work. And the other thing as well that people tend to forget is don't rush through it, you know, enjoy the process. It's very therapeutic as well.
And as you said, it is a very rewarding act. Sometimes even if it doesn't turn out as planned, you still have this sense of pride in it that you did it yourself. Exactly.
And anything that goes wrong, there's nothing that can go wrong that can't be fixed, you know. Again, that comes down to actually learning more about the process, because if you don't make mistakes, how will you ever know how to fix them?
Marianne, if anyone's interested in knowing more about the work that you do, maybe looking into your services, or if they want to just know about how they go about coming along to that workshop in Portlaoise, where can they find out information?
So I have a website which is www.therevamptramp.ie, and then I'm on Facebook as well under The Revamp Tramp, and the same with Instagram. And I'll be in the Portlaoise Library this coming Saturday at 11 a.m.
Marianne, The Revamp Tramp, I absolutely love the name. Did it take you long to come up with that one?
No, it was actually a friend, would you believe, that came up with it. And I thought at first, there's no way I can use that as a name. But then the more I thought about it, the more I kept going back to it. So perfect. I said, I got to go with it, and it has never let me down.
Fantastic, Marianne. Thank you so much for speaking with me this evening. And hopefully, if anybody is looking to go along to that workshop at the weekend, they can find time in their schedules. As you said, there's no limit on spaces, and it's a free access event as well.
That's it, yeah, exactly.
Fantastic. Marianne, thank you again.
No problem. Thanks a million.
Encore with Patters Bar in Moat, with live music every weekend and all sport showing on our big screens. Find Patters Bar Moat on Facebook or Instagram.
I was not involved in the selection process. It's very important that, for us anyway, that all the scripts are judged fairly. So I would be receiving all the scripts in my inbox every day, which was a great job to have, because I got to read them all and it was brilliant, but I didn't to have a say on the final panel. What we were doing was we were getting everybody to send in their scripts without their names on or any kind of identification, and that way, when we sent them to the judges, who are all kind of independent of Filmophily, they were able to read the scripts on their own merits and how they engage with it. And there was no either sort of conscious or unconscious bias there. So the scripts were just judged really on the merits of the writing and the ideas that were there.
And tell me about the initiative itself, the Filmophily run.
Yeah, so we have been running this since 2008, which is a little bit before my time with Filmophily. I only joined them last year, so this is my first film award. And this has been going every year. There's been a bursary available for filmmakers to attract them to the county, to encourage them to use local crew, local businesses, and it's great because it gets Offaly up on the big screen. And the very first film that was made was back in 2008, was Donal Gleeson made a film with his dad Brendan in it and his brother Brian.
Right.
So, you know, we had a great one first out of the gate with a really great film. And every year since then, we've been encouraging people across the country to send in their scripts and get these films produced. And there's been a lot of very different ones over the years. There's been some dark comedies. There's been some coming-of-age stories. There's been a couple of adaptations of things like from, say, Claire Keegan's short stories. There was a particular film that was an adaptation of one of her pieces of work. So we've had quite a lot of different things over the years. And the only stipulation that we have really is that all of these films have to be 100% shot in Offaly. So all of the actual kind of what you see on camera, bar maybe any special effects or titles, that kind of thing, is all Offaly. So it's all Offaly locations. And that way we get local people involved as well. And it's a really great calling card for the county.
And I know that you've said when the scripts come in, they're very much anonymous in a way that you don't know who sent them in, you don't know if it's male or female writer, etc. type of situation. So would you have any grasp or idea on where the stories are coming from? Like, would you feel that it's a majority of local creatives who are sending it in, or is it further afield? You've said that you encourage people from around the country to submit scripts.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I have visibility on that. The judges don't. So all I'm doing is kind of the administrative work, sending on the judges the scripts anonymously, but I'm getting to see all of that data. Previous years, since COVID, we haven't had we've had some great responses, but we probably had about maybe 40 scripts coming in. This year was a really bumpy year. We had 64.
Right.
Now, the vast majority of those are kind of coming from Dublin, which is kind of where you would expect sort of a lot of kind of budding filmmakers to be based because of courses and things like that. So it's those kind of areas. But what we want to do is moving forward is to start to encourage more entries to the Midlands, which we did have quite a few, which was great, and the quality was just as good as the Dublin ones, and those areas like, you know, Limerick, where there are kind of film studios and there's a bit more of a filmmaking community. So moving forward, I think we're going to try to see what we can do to encourage more entries from the Midlands itself. Later on in the year, we plan to be running a film screenwriters lab, we're going to call it, which is going to be a screenwriting course for people who do want to develop their own short films. They've got an idea, and once that course is ran, it's early days yet, so it's not been officially announced. I think at the moment we're just looking for tutors to run it. But once that's run, the people who take part in that course will have their own short film script, which should hopefully be ready for production, or if they want to submit it to our competition or anything else across the country. So, and we'll also be doing hopefully some workshops in kind of creativity and coming up with ideas to encourage a little bit more entries from Offaly. We had a really good crop of entries from Offaly this year, and also we get quite a lot from Westmeath and some from Laois as well. So we want to maybe try and concentrate a little bit more on those, but I think there is a slight Dublin bias, and that's really because that's how the industry is made, and all of the online filmmakers chat groups are all based in Dublin, and so. But it's something that we're hopefully going to improve, and the point of the award really is that we're encouraging people to come to Offaly to make films. That's how it's been run so far. But yeah, I would personally like to see lots more from the Midlands, and we did get a decent showing this year. Next year, we're probably going to also alter some of the rules for submitting scripts, so we're kind of expecting to be able to get even more scripts next year, and it's easier for people to kind of enter. So, the sky's the limit. The award's been going, as I say, since 2008. So the best part of 20 years now. It's not going to stop. It's just going to improve.
And can you reveal at this stage what some of those changes might be that you might be implementing next year?
I think it's just really, and I don't know how interesting this is for your listeners, I think it's just probably just looking a little bit more at our social strategy and the groups that we're kind of contacting. And like I say, we're going to be doing a lot of training activity in Offaly in order to kind of encourage screenwriters to create their own work and get more scripts in from Offaly. So, like I say, we've got some courses and training coming up, and we just kind of really need to kind of look a little bit more at our kind of social media strategy, just to try and edge it a little bit more. But at the end of the day, you know, we are trying to be impartial. We don't want to kind of, if you know what I mean.
And Darren, how involved will Film Offaly be from now on? So now that the piece that has been awarded the funding, it's already been decided, how involved do you play a part in it now? Or is it very much up to the director to kind of play a bigger role now? Or do you still remain involved for the shooting process?
Yeah, it's kind of, most of it is now all over to the producers and directors, but we are there to help. And we have lists of local crew, local locations and things like that. And so we liaise with the production team to kind of help them find locations in the county. There might also be other issues like, say, and I'm not sure if it's for this particular film, but if we're dealing with a visiting production company, if they need to close roads for whatever reason, we're dealing with the logistics behind that as well. So we're there very much to hold their hands, but in terms of kind of creativity, it's all sort of really down to them now. One of the things that we're keen to do, and I was talking to the producers about this morning, is to be able to have more opportunities for local crew to get involved with this particular film and maybe be able to offer some shadowing for local people as well. We're very fortunate this year to have funding from the EU just transition to be able to stimulate filmmaking in the area, but also try and provide opportunities for those people and those communities that were affected by the closure of the peat plants. So we're particularly keen to kind of hear from people like that who are interested in making films or might not even be interested but just want to give it a go. So we'll be doing lots of different things with them, but in terms of the creativity and whatnot, we're leaving that up to them. That's their job now, but we'll just be there to help with the logistics.
And there obviously are a lot of creatives from the Midlands, whether they're still based here or not. As you said, a lot of the courses that are offered in that area are heavily in Dublin. So a lot of people, myself included, would have gone up to Dublin to study, but maybe back living in their locality now. So for anybody who is kind of trained crew, who is looking to get involved, how is it that people will go about looking into that? Will you be advertising that you're looking for crew, or can people apply to ye, or how does that all work?
We will be advertising that we're looking for crew, but the best thing to do is if you go to our website, which is www.filmoffaly.ie, there is an option there to be able to register on our crew database. And then whenever anyone is filming in the area and they're interested in using local crew, which most of them are, we consult the database and we email those people on there to say, this crew are here, they're making this film, are you interested? So I'd recommend doing that because then you're not only on our radar for Bigfoot Lover, you're on our radar for everything else. We're also, at the moment, there is a feature film kind of gearing up, a low-budget one, to be filmed in Offaly in sort of late September, early October, and we're looking for crew for that as well. So if you're not registered on our crew database, please do, and then you're on our radar and we can let you know of not only this opportunity, but any other ones that happen to come into the county.
Fantastic. Darren, thank you so much for your time today.
You're very welcome. Thanks very much, Zoe.
The French know luxury. Discover the all-new 252 DS Automobiles range at Hugo Luna Motors. Experience pure driving pleasure with DS Automobiles, the French luxury car company. DS's premium range stands out through its charismatic style, interior refinement, sophisticated technology, and first-class comfort. Book your test drive today and discover the magic of DS Automobiles at hugolunamotors.ie.
Encore with Padder's Bar in Moat, with live music every weekend and all sports showing on our big screens. Find Padder's Bar Moat on Facebook or Instagram.
Thank you so much. I'm absolutely thrilled.
And Megan, you've been awarded under the bursary 12,000. Now that might seem like a lot, but how quickly will that go and where will the funding be used? What will it be used to finance?
Yeah, you'd be surprised. Like you say, I think people, don't get me wrong, it's absolutely fantastic and we are extremely, extremely grateful. But that kind of goes very fast when you think about how much crew and how much cast and how much Bigfoot we have to materialise out of thin air also. And, where are people going to stay? Where are people going to eat? What's insurance? What's equipment? It kind of goes very, very, very quickly. But very luckily for me, my producer Connor gets to look at that budget and just see, and I get to beg him to look at it again and again and again. But yeah, we are extremely grateful, but it goes fast, I won't lie.
And where would the majority of the funding be? Would it mainly go to, as you say, financing crew's labour, or would it be looking into like that, getting materials or getting special effects, things like that?
Yes, so absolutely. Our prime thing is we do people in the arts. It's hard already. We do. People deserve to be paid for their time. So it goes straight into our cast, into our crew, into especially all of this is going to be based in Offaly. So everybody needs to be put up in Offaly. People need to come to and fro like that. We have prosthetics. There's a lot in there, and I won't lie, our prosthetics and our Bigfoot is something that we're extremely excited about, and that's going to take a bit of doing, but we're have lots of talented people working as well. But yeah, you'd be surprised how many people are behind a short film of only 15 minutes. There's going to be quite a lot of us wandering around the woods in Offaly now. Yeah, and it'll all go towards that.
Loving Bigfoot is the title of the short drama. Explain.
Yeah, so Bigfoot Lover is the title of our short, and basically I see it as a kind of absurd, dark romance, ultimately. I think when we meet our protagonist, Cute, who's a woman in her late 20s, we kind of meet her at this point after a tumultuous breakup. She's quite lonely. She's retreated to her dad's old house in the woods. And ultimately, I think she's come to a point of maybe self-reckoning, of looking at herself and her patterns in love. And this is when she kind of runs into Bigfoot. And yeah, I suppose he forces her to reckon with herself and her choices even more. So yeah, I think Bigfoot Lover just kind of came to me in a way, because I suppose for me this short, as I say, is a kind of an exploration of our own patterns in love. And kind of, no matter how new and different it feels sometimes you do end up going, God, I've ended up in the same situation again. How did that happen? And I feel like the title for me is just maybe a bit of a reference of, you don't realize it, but you're kind of going for the same thing over and over again. You're loving the same thing over and over again. And where does it start and where does it end? So I suppose, yeah, that's what it means to me.
I do apologise. Bigfoot Lover. I was reading the script backwards there in a way. It said loving Bigfoot. But one of the conditions...
All the same to me.
It's the same gist, just as I said, a little bit backwards. But the condition of the bursary that you applied for is that it has to be filmed and shot completely in the Faithful County. So when can we expect filming to get underway? And at this moment in time, do you have any locations in mind that it will be featured?
Absolutely. Our hope right now is the end of October, spooky season, as you will. But our hope right now is that around the end of October, start of November, because like that, I think lots of planning is obviously going to go into this, but also the construction of the Bigfoot is our big thing as well. But lots of lovely woods and lovely mountains that I've been exploring in Offaly, which I'm somewhat of an avid hiker anyway, so it's something I would have done before. But we've been up and around and looking, and people have been very good, because we're kind of looking for a very specific location, which might be nice to mention now, that we're kind of looking for a small kind of bungalow, almost cabin or farmhouse near a woodland. So it's lots of driving up the mountains and kind of knocking on doors, if you will. And yeah, if anyone does have a location like that they think could be of use to us, it'd be good to actually reach out to Film Offaly and to Darren or myself. Yeah, because that's what we're looking at. And we have been looking and people have been reaching out, which is really, really lovely. I think people get excited about this kind of stuff around their area, just as we're excited to go into it, I suppose.
I definitely think from what you've described that you shouldn't be short on options, but I know myself that you probably have a very specific vision in your head of the exact location. So I think that's where the hardest part will come in, is to try and replicate what's in your head to actually find that space. Yeah,
absolutely. And there does need to be adaptation there. Yeah, absolutely. Like, the world is not in my head, so there is. But like you say, there is an abundance of nature and there's an abundance of that greenery in Offaly. So we have been very lucky in that sense. And it's been lovely. These weekends, these trips up and down have been absolutely lovely. It's going to be a journey, but I think we're not stressed about that as of right now. But it will be the end of October when we'll be filming.
And something that Darren has said is that there was a lot of entries from people outside of Offaly for this grant and for the bursary. And you yourself, you're based up in Dublin. So why was it that you chose to apply for this piece?
Well, I suppose the Film Offaly Award in itself, I feel, has gotten more prominence over the last couple of years as being known as a good fund and a great fund. As you can imagine, just working in the arts in general, like, these are sought after bursaries and awards, obviously. And I feel like it's been great. There's a lot more regional, you see a lot more regional awards and bursaries coming up. But I've definitely known of the bursary for a while. I actually applied for it last year.
Okay.
But also, what's really nice, I think, about Film Offaly as well is sometimes, when you're doubting yourself and you apply for so many things, the kind of first step of the Film Offaly is a blind one, where you just send in your script and nothing else. And I feel like it was really great, I suppose, to get the kind of feedback that I did. But also my own producer Conor McCormick actually won the bursary last year as well.
Right.
And we are a collaborative team and have been for the last couple of years. So it would have been his encouragement as well. But like I say, I do think Film Offaly have been getting more prominence for their award. And we're extremely grateful. And we're also extremely grateful they've taken a chance on a maybe a bit more surreal of a script as well. So it's lucky, I suppose.
And as you said there, it's nice to hear that, as you said, a lot of the time you're applying for these applications, you're throwing your creativity out there. Sometimes they're not always picked up, and that can be very disheartening. So it's nice to hear that you applied last year, but you weren't deterred. You went back and you applied again this year, and it was chosen.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a different thing that I had applied a little bit last time again. But absolutely, it takes a lot of perseverance. And like I said, I think it's great that these regional awards are coming up because there's so many artists, there's so many creatives, and there's so many stories to be told. And sometimes there isn't enough to make them, or it doesn't feel like there's enough awards. So I think it's so great that these regional awards are coming up, not only to show off the different parts of the country, but just to bolster that. And I think it's really lovely that the council and the Film Offaly have done that. So I think we're seeking out those opportunities like many other people.
So Megan, we can expect that come October we might be seeing some film crews wandering around the wilderness of Offaly.
Yeah, my hope and not hope is that someone will see a Bigfoot and actually think it's real as well. But yeah, around the woods in Offaly, where we were supposed to be, hopefully end of October is the plan.
Fantastic. Megan, thank you so much for your time today. It's been really enjoyable conversation, and I'm very intrigued to see what the outcome of this film is, because as you said, it's a little bit out there. It's maybe not following the norm, but it kind of is in the sense that, as you said, it's taken nearly an everyday topic or occurrence. It's based on obviously love, but just adding that little bit of surrealty into it.
Absolutely. It's a different lens, and I think the goal for me wasn't to make a kind of out there mad script. It was to kind of take something that we can all very much resonate with and look at it in a new way that almost forces you to examine it in a different way. And like you say, it is about love and it is about attraction and heartbreak to a certain extent, and I feel like a lot of people will resonate. So that's definitely my hope.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again for your time.
Thanks a million for having me on. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Encore with Patters Bar in Moat, with live music every weekend and all sports showing on our big screens. Find Patters Bar Moat on Facebook or Instagram.
Thanks so much for having me on.
Tell me a little bit about the band and the type of music that you do.
Well, Hey Jira, it's a 7-piece band, and it was set up very specifically to play the music of Joni Mitchell from what I consider, and many other people consider, to be really her most mature writing period, which is basically from the albums Court and Spark, Hissing of Summer Lawns and Hey Jira, through to the great live album called Shadows from Light. And it's really from that period that we're drawing our inspiration. And if I may add at this point, right at the beginning, just having said that, we're drawing our inspiration because we're not a tribute band, as some people write. I mean, we're only in the old sense of the word tribute, that we're kind of paying tribute to the genius of Joni and this beautiful music. But, we don't play everything note for note. It's never the same every single night. However, what's really important is the melodies, the tunes, and the lyrics. So Hattie, our singer, she never deviates from that. But there's still, I arrange the music for the instrumentation that we have. Kind of, sometimes we harmonise things a little bit and orchestrate it to try and bring out the very, very best of the songs.
So they're covers in a sense, but they're putting your own spin on it. As you said, they're not a like-for-like replica of the originals. Yeah,
that's absolutely perfect. The covers, anybody that comes along who knows the songs, they won't be thinking they're doing that all wrong, because what I keep sacrosanct is the melody. Yeah. So never mess about with the melody. We put our own stamp on it in terms of the way we all play our the instrumentation, the arranging of it, the voicing, the harmonies, and this and that like that. But I never want to take it too far away, and certainly not away from the intent of the song. That's really important. So what I'm trying to do is just enhance those songs as much as possible with the great musicians I have in the band.
And tell me, how is it that you came to doing this type of work? How was it that you got involved with the band and decided to do this style of music?
Well, about 2.5 years ago, at my club that I run in Oxford in England, for the Christmas gig, I just fancied doing something special, a one-off thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've long been a fan of Joni's album called Hey Gira, I thought, it would really be great to do that music. And I put together a band of people that I knew. I knew everyone in the band. That I knew were A, great musicians, and B, equally important, loved the music.
Mm.
So we put this band together, advertised the gig, and it went incredibly well, sold out, way in advance. And so I said to the guys in the band, do you fancy doing another date? Because, it seems to have some kind of popularity. And everybody said, yeah, let's do another one. And the next date that we could put in the diary was 2 months ahead. So the next day I went back, told our IT guys to put it on the website, which they did, and by 11 a.m. the next day it was sold out again. So I thought, maybe this has got legs, maybe we can try doing something further than, our hometown. And I called up a venue in Nottingham, and they immediately booked the band for the next day after our second gig. And at that point, I was so encouraged by this enthusiasm.
Of course,
I found an agent who also fell in love with the idea of the band, and she started bringing dates, and it suddenly went from what was meant to be doing one gig to being 50 gigs a year.
And obviously, you're coming to Ireland now. Why the move to Ireland? Do you find that there is a Joni Mitchell following here?
Well, it's a lovely country. I think that's the first thing, and I know people are really into music in Ireland. And we're just starting out, really. We did two dates in Ireland last year, in Belfast and Limerick. And they were both great gigs. They're both really vibey and, really fun. And so we're trying to build on that and bring the music to Ireland, and really, really hope that people in Ireland will pick up on what we're bringing to this music.
You mentioned that it's a 7-piece band, so could you give us a rundown on the instruments that are involved in pulling all this off?
Yeah, sure. So Hattie, of course, is the focus of the band, and she is, I have to say, an outstanding singer. I mean, there's not a gig that goes by where at some point I don't look across to her and think, I'm so lucky to have you in the band.
Right.
So she sings with kind of Joni's pitch-perfect accuracy.
Okay.
And, so she's great. And she also plays guitar like Joni does, so employing all the open tunings of the guitars. And then I play guitar. I'm kind of like the lead guitar player. Then we have saxophone, and the sax player plays soprano sax, tenor sax, and bass clarinet, which gives me a lot of arranging colours. And then we have great keyboard player, Chris. We have a fantastic bass player who, if anybody's into Jaco Pastorius, they're going to really like Dave, our bass player. And then we have drums and percussion, which, again, is a whole luxury for me to have not only a great drummer, but the percussion as well, which really colours the band.
Mm.
But, yeah, that's the lineup.
And you mentioned there that this was only ever meant to be kind of a once-off thing. You were putting the band together for one event. It's now turned into an ongoing thing. Is it something that you can see yourself doing for another while yet? Or do you see an end in sight? Or is it a case of you hope that you will be doing it for a long time yet?
I really hope we'll be doing it for a long time yet. And everybody in the band does. And one thing which is a really nice testimony to the personnel that I picked is that aside from the percussion player, who after that first gig, he couldn't do it anymore. So we found a new percussion player. Since then, it's been the same personnel now for more than 100 gigs. Right. And everybody is completely into it because everybody loves this music, And by good fortune, we all get on really well together, and we're very happy to be in a van for many, many a mile. We're looking at longevity here with the band. I mean, there's so much material to mine, even from that period, because Joni was really prolific between Court and Spark and Wild Things Run Fast. I think that's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 albums she put out. So that's a lot of material from that whole great period of Joni's writing.
Is there one song in particular that you really enjoy performing? Like, is there always really one that when you know it's coming up in the set, you look forward to it?
Not really, actually. I mean, I love them all. They've all got their own vibe. I mean, I really try to make every song have something special about it. A little bit of magic with every song. I'd have to say the song Hey Jira itself is such a beautiful song, such a beautiful melody, and the lyrics are stunning. You know, they're so touching that sometimes I look at Hattie and think, how can you actually get through that? Yeah, they're very poignant, very emotional. So yeah, that's one I love. And then for the more kind of upbeat, fun songs, there are things like Help Me and Free Man in Paris, which is always good fun to play. In France, I Kiss on Main Street, that's great. So yeah, you know, they range from those really touching, poignant songs like Hey Jira or A Case of You that many people know. And that's one song, by the way, that we do out of that whole block that I mentioned. A Case of You is on that great, much earlier album, Blue. And we play that because everybody loves it, and it's a beautiful song.
Are there any songs in particular that tend to be fan favourites where you notice that the crowd really just cling on to them when you play?
I think, funnily enough, Free Man in Paris. Yeah, so that one always seems to get a good response. And even the opener, when we play the opener, which is Coyote, people, I mean, quite often, Hattie strums the first few chords, and before she sang the note, people were applauding because they recognise that opening to Coyote, and that's such a lift. And in fact, on our live album, which I think you may have, I hope you have that, that's what we open with, and you can hear that, and that just gave the band this lift, which made the whole gig go incredibly well, and we were so lucky to have that one recorded. Quite often, we get to the end of the gig, and an engineer will say, "Oh, I recorded the gig," and we go, "Oh no, that one wasn't one of our best gigs." But as it happened, that particular gig, which has become the Live at the Cockpit album for us, it was just at the right point in the tour. We'd done 5 dates on the trot, and that was the 6th gig. So everybody was like really familiar with the music, but not bored with it. And then we had a full house and this enthusiasm right from the first few bars. So it was it couldn't be better from that point of view.
Outside of performing, because obviously you have a pretty full-on schedule with the gigs coming up, what do you hope to do outside of that in Ireland? Well,
travel around, see the country, go to some nice pubs, go to some nice restaurants, just, absorb the Irish life as much as we can in that. Yeah, there's not a great deal of time really in between because we're playing every night. No, I can imagine, yeah. But it's always lovely to come to Newtown. We've never been to Tullamore. So I really hope you Tullamore folks are going to do us proud and come out and hear the band. And have you done any research yet into maybe some landmarks that you might be interested in seeing whilst you're over here? I must confess I haven't yet, but we always do. When we're in the van, that's always a good time to do that, ahead of every gig. Look at, see how much time we've got. We always try and find time to go for a walk, the next day when we get up before we have to travel to the next gig, go and have a look around, if we're in the town, which I think we're staying in the town that night, see, as you say, the landmarks, and all the beauty of the countryside. Well, there is certainly plenty for you to do on Tullamore, so you won't be caught or stuck for something to do. But Pete, thank you so much for chatting with me this evening about the upcoming tour and the gig. It sounds like it's going to be a fantastic night, and I really appreciate you speaking with me. My pleasure, Zoe. Thank you so much for having me on.